Okay, we're gonna change the oil. Here's all the items I have purchased. I've got Antifreeze, marine antifreeze. I've got 5W30 oil. That oil pump, oil filter, gear lube, fuel stabilizer.
Nice.
Josiah will be the expert today.
Oh yeah.
So we have already drained all of the gear lube, and now before anything else we're gonna put the gear lube back in. So we have the bottom screw, and there's the vent screw up top there that helps it come out. Is there a little left? Alright, so we're draining it a little bit more.
So you'll notice, like, when you look at the oil that's coming out right now,
Uh-huh.
see how it's kind of milky?
Yeah.
So that's usually just means you got a little bit of water in there. What you want to do whenever you take it out, you want to just kind of check. So you run it through your fingers a little bit and then see if you see any metal shavings. And they'll kind of sparkle.
Uh-huh.
I don't see any, so you're good there.
Metal shavings would mean
that if you got water in there early in the season, water is not good for metal, so it'll start to break down. You'll get little shavings of metal in there, and that usually means that you have a bearing or a gear. Well, it's actually gears in there that are probably starting to fail. So usually it's just a sign of a problem coming. So I always check it. I recommend you. I usually will check it, you know, a couple times every year. So throughout the season, because if it starts getting milky like that, it's always a good idea just to change it. I mean, it's not bad to have it be that way at the end of the season because you're changing it anyways. But
yeah.
If it's that way early in the season, it might be a good idea to change it, because sometimes you've got a few different seals. You've got a seal through here, and if you ever come out of the boat, like out of the lake, and you leave this tilted up, then water will actually push its way through that seal. So you always want to lower it when you come out, or go up the ramp and lower it then, so that the water can drain out of this. If you leave it cocked up, remember how we put it all the way down last year?
Yeah, just for storage.
Yeah, gets in there, it does the same thing. Because water is heavier than oil, so it'll push the oil out,
make its way through.
And sometimes if you ever see oil coming out of here, that's probably what's happening.
Okay.
Actually, usually it comes out behind the prop. So.
Okay.
Actually, do you have a prop tool?
One thing we don't want to forget to do is greasing on the trailer hitch itself. There we go.
So this is your thrust washer. It goes right behind the prop. If you want to note that.
This goes on first. This way. Against.
Behind the prop.
Behind the prop. This way.
And, okay, so the only other things I usually put in this bag are those two plugs that are inside. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Those little copper ones. Yeah. And then I usually just put a zip tie to my steering wheel. And then it reminds you. And you put all those things in just in case you go. Just in case you go.
Yeah.
So, alright, the drainage is gonna get. So,
right back up.
This plug is probably wipe down, kind of make sure there's no water really where you want to put the oil. Anyway, just hook up the little pump. Put this on first. It's just easier. You don't get a big twist in the line.
Oh yeah, twist in the line.
Yeah, that's true. Lower this once we get a little. I mean, keep going. If you want to lower it, I'll tell you when. Coming. Okay. And you'll actually see this one feeds this spot, so you'll see the grease start to come out. This one will actually come out of the action. Just barely want it to kind of break through. And then the one usually it's and that one is tricky because you don't really see. So I usually just put like 5 or 6 pumps in there. It goes into a rotary that you drive your actual shaft that comes through to drive this outdrive. I've had to replace that before. You just take this whole component out and then you have to pound out a bearing, which is real fun.
So the 3 things we just greased are right here, and then the 4 things,
And then the gimbal bearing.
the gimbal bearing
On that side.
right there.
I think if there's any others. That's pretty much it. Alright.
Hi, Ambry.
This part.
Watching a movie?
I'm gonna raise it just a little bit.
Okay. Put the oil pan under or no?
Um,
Will it come pouring out?
it's gonna come out a little bit for me as well. Not that we're gonna make it right here, but probably rules against changing your oil on your street.
Yeah.
Alright, so take this. What you do is you pull. So this is still full, this line. So what I'll usually do is take this off. And just try to empty as much as you can out. Oh. Let's just pull that out. Twist this. Morning, how you doing?
Hello.
How's it going?
Good.
Good. Alright.
Air lube.
Okay. We still got a little bit in here, but you'll probably have to get. Might still bite too. Half stick.
Okay. Hi, Ambry. Is that your puppy? Are you playing with your phone? Where's my phone? Look at my phone. Alright.
Alright. Okay. So now that we got that all done, you usually, you'll want to inspect stuff like this just to make sure you don't have anything happening with your shaft here. Yeah, nothing looks abnormal, but if you saw a big gouge in this or something, then that's going to affect one issue in your thing. Let me show you this real quick. So you see the one that you were doing.
So changing the oil now.
You want to make sure it goes all the way down to the bottom and not too far because you don't want to start coming back up, you know.
Yeah.
And you'll feel it. Yeah, it's in the bottom now.
Okay.
So once you get there, this is going to be a little trickier. Usually you start pumping by now.
Okay, so we got the oil out. What's that?
That cloth.
Right here. We're changing the oil filter now that we've sucked all the oil out of it.
Yeah. Just a little bit coming out of it. Okay.
Alright.
Their oil is really clean.
Switch that. One other tip was I took some oil and rubbed it around, all around this, so we get a good seal. Okay.
Okay, so we just finished the oil change, put new oil in it, and you're good on the dipstick. So now what we're going to do is start it back up, and you see in the front here, this pipe, and then you got this little one here. So what happens is the water comes in, and this is when it starts to supply it actually into the motor to cool it. And this is a thermostat, and this won't open up until you get up to temperature. So we have to wait until we feel fluid coming through this so that we know the thermostat's open. Otherwise, you won't get fluid into the whole engine.
Okay.
Alright.
So as it's running and getting up to temperature, you can feel cold water in this one. And this will get hotter and hotter as the temperature gets hot enough. So we just kept feeling that.
Hose that I have that got a hole in it or whatever. You ever see an old hose at a yard sale or at the DI or whatever?
Okay.
Just buy it and cut the end off. And you know, this is probably a little overkill. How much you need, but the concept is basically we're now going to feed antifreeze into the cooling system.
Okay. So we're gonna feed it in through a funnel right here.
Yep.
And we'll know the discharge coming out of the bottom here. As soon as that turns pink, that's when we'll know that it's gone all the way through, and then we turn it off.
Yep.
Right? Right. Okay.
Like 1.5 to 2 of those. Okay. But just pour it nice and slow, and it should, for the most part, I mean, you gotta keep it enough to keep it in the motor, you know?
Yeah. Alright, so start it going? Yep. Okay, here it comes.
Ready?
Yep.
Okay. Now the only other thing that you want to do is that took care of your system, so the whole nothing should get frozen and cracked. That's really the most important part.
Yeah.
And then these plugs over here, you've got one on the side, this one.
Yeah.
And then one underneath right here. So what happens is the water comes into here. Let's see, where's your supply line? You should have it coming in from the ground. Pull this up real quick. So it comes up. See this line right here? This is actually the cold water coming all the way up from where we're pumping it down to.
Yeah.
So it sucks it into here, fills this chamber, and it'll just kick it right through here until it gets warm enough. So it's just kicking it out the exhaust. So this part is always cooled. But once this opens up, the thermostat, then it starts to pump it through here, which is where your actual motor is, to cool the motor.
Okay.
It only opens once it needs the cooling to cool down the motor. So it'll empty all the way into here, cool down the motor, and then now that we've done that, this bolt here empties this, your exhaust chamber here. And then this bolt is actually your motor. So that, when we open that, we should see paint coming out of both of them. If you don't see paint coming out of the lower one, that means water didn't go.
It didn't make it all the way through? Okay.
So, you take those plugs all the way out, or you can just open them, check to make sure
see that it's coming out.
Close it back.
Okay.
See how it's pink?
Yeah.
That's good news. So, I mean, you can decide what you want to do. If you drain it, I mean, it's no biggie, but if you leave it in there...
Yeah, let's just leave it tight. That's fine.
Because, you know, you suck up... It's just sucking through those vent holes.
Yeah.
And so when you go Lake Powell or anywhere that has a sandy beach, and you go shallow land...
Yeah.
And you're going to suck it.
Suck it right into there.
So usually there's some debris of sorts in here.
So this one on the bottom side, we're going to pull it out.
Yep.
Make sure.
This is the exhaust chamber.
It's the exhaust chamber.
And it's actually, you see how this one has a hole? These one, the top one usually doesn't. It's
Okay.
just a plug, you know.
Wanna watch Elmo?
Yeah.
Okay, just a minute.
Ooh, it's getting warm.
Yeah, it's warming up. Feeling it on my neck.
Hopefully it stays decent weather for when your run is, or do you want the colder the better?
No, it's
See all that sand that came out?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's all over my fingers.
Yeah.
This is, you know, you add water to it to dilute it. You know,
Yeah.
you go 50-50. But if you end up being at 30-70,
You're close.
then you're not getting as much coverage, you know.
Yeah.
It could only go down to 20 degrees. So I just always drain it.
So we're gonna drain both plugs. Completely.
And that's some hot water. It's a good thing. Means it went into the motor for sure.
Yeah. I can see the steam. On. Okay.
Sealed one that doesn't have a hole in it, that goes in the top, so in the exhaust chamber, and this one goes on the side of the engine. And it's got the hole in the top, and it also has this hole.
That one goes in the side of the
Side,
engine.
this one goes up this way.
It goes up that way. Alright.
You can see like the sand and debris on the end of that.
Oh yeah.
So you clean that out too.
Very nice.
See these two holes right there?
Yeah.
What you want to do is you want to, when we turn it on, we're going to pour gas down those holes, or pour oil down those holes until it kills the motor.
Okay.
And what that does is, this is really more just to stop corrosion.
Yeah.
So that you don't get parts in there that get bound up in the water. It's not as critical, but it's And then once it's going, I'll start pouring. Because we gotta do it pretty quick. We don't
Okay. You ready?
Yep.
Okay, just a minute.
Okay. That's it.
That's it. Alright.
Now you're coated. So you just throw that piece back on. Should plug into that.